The cost per percentage point to repair it from 30% is quite significantly lower than the cost to maintain it from 100% per percentage point. 1, 2, this one. So you want to make sure that the lowest possible, obviously you don't want to be maintaining it every 3%. However, maintaining it every 30% seems to be a good compromise. So equipment gets down to 30%, go fix it. It's going to be cheaper maintaining it in the long run. I mean, obviously, if you take it down to 30%, fix it, 30% fix it, 30% fix it, it's cheaper than going all the way down to 90% and then fixing it once. Outside of that, it appears the only thing that affects wear and tear is the age of the equipment. So the older the piece of equipment is, the faster it wears out. So the more frequently you have to fix it. The fixing cost is based on purchase price, which is something I've been saying for a long time. That's something we proved. So if you can get away with a cheap tractor, do it, because it's going to cost you less to fix. But if you need the extra stuff on it, go ahead. You need the stuff. So if you don't need GPS because you're going to use a tractor for carting all the time and nothing else, then it doesn't need GPS. You're going to get a truck, it doesn't need GPS. Harvester, kind of nice to have. And any tractor used for field work can benefit from GPS, so that might be worth it. If you don't need a front loader, don't put one on. If you need a front loader tractor, buy a cheap one, because it's going to be cheaper to maintain that than it is, our little Massey Ferguson's great for trucking around with bales and what have you. So that's not an issue, it's cheap to fix. Doing the same thing with the Deutz, which is twice the cost of the Massey, it's going to be twice as much to fix it just for moving bales around the yard. So we're probably going to be moving away from the Deutz doing any front loader work. We'll keep the front loader just in case, but for the most part, it's probably not going to be used as a front loader tractor. Now, what else is there? Oh yes, the age of the vehicle increases the rate at which it needs repair. So with us here, we've got a 27.7 hour harvester and probably about 3 hours on the header. So the header is going to get damaged slower. However, we'll reverse that back a bit. The cost to fix is the same. At 50 hours is when the speed of wear peaks. So a 50-hour tractor and a 75-hour tractor will decay. Maintenance level will drop at the same rate. So new equipment slowest, 50 hours fastest, 75 hours exactly the same as a 50-hour tractor. So once a vehicle is at 50 hours or more, it's never going to cost you any more to fix over time. Now, obviously, when you're starting a farm, you don't really want maintenance costs. the other thing to consider when you're starting a farm is, yes, you can get a nice big tractor which will survive you for expansion. So you can buy Diddly Squat Farm and get yourself a huge Lamborghini with 280 horsepower or whatever he has. And yeah, that's a nice tractor. You've got 3 meter equipment, but you can mount 6 meter equipment on the back if you get an appropriate sized weight. And your tractor is not limiting your farm expansion. But if you get a bigger tractor for doing small work, you're going to end up paying more in maintenance because the value of the tractor as new costs you 2 to 3 times as much as a smaller tractor does. So I think what I'm saying there is getting an appropriate sized vehicle is probably the best plan, especially at the beginning of your farm when you don't have a lot of income. Your income's limited by the number of fields you have, and other words, your income is limited by the number of fields you have, and your equipment is also not big. I mean, I will admit, I was decrying when FS22 came out that if you got one of the starting tractors with about 180 horsepower, you were really limited in the equipment you could use. The in-game equipment, 3 meter equipment, was about your limit. And so in order to be able to get bigger equipment, you had to get a bigger tractor. And the bigger tractor was going to cost you a ton of money. But the farms would set up ideally. You had 180 horsepower. You usually had one of the old John Deeres or Massey Fergusons as your big farm tractor, and you had a bunch of 3 meter equipment to do your fields, and everything was complementary of each other. But the trouble came when I need something bigger because it's taking me 3 days to plant my fields, and you need to get the bigger equipment. Excuse me while we watch what's going on here. That's 99% off. I'm going to take this over to the yard to dump. And even here, we bought the John Deere. We've been using it quite heavily. It's at 45 hours now. So again, it's costing us almost the most it ever will for maintenance. But the deal with this is we've been using it on equipment that a lot of the time the Massey Ferguson is perfectly capable of pulling. So we are creating a more expensive maintenance bill for ourselves by using this tractor on stuff it's overpowered for. But at the moment we're kind of in the case where I'm using all of my field equipment. We've got the Deutz was running the lime spreader, the harvester's running, this is carting, the Massey's doing what Massey's do, mulching the fields. And so it's It's a lot. We've got a lot of work going on, so I have to use this tractor to do some things. Oh, are you in the way? Actually, you're probably not in the way. But now, having this tractor has allowed us to take advantage of buying a big mower set. And so, that's what I was going to check. We have oats, canola and barley. We have 4 silos here. So soybeans will be the last crop we can put in there. So if we had a couple more fields with a different crop, I would start using the silos over at the cow farm, because we just don't have storage here for another crop, or we won't once we put the soybeans in the ground, or pull the soybeans out of the ground, or off the shrubs, whatever you do with soybeans. But yeah, as I was saying, we've been able to put the mowers on this John Deere and really increase our the rate at which we can mow fields. We can do far more mowing contracts in half a day than we used to be able to with just the Massey Ferguson pulling around the batwing. And we did get a question last week from Taylor asking, is the batwing a thing that you can buy in the UK? And the answer is yes. I'm not sure you can get that particular model, but you can get that style of mower in the UK. So it's not entirely unrealistic to be using it. That's the other thing. You can't get Anderson equipment in the UK. However, you can get Kern equipment, and that you can get the X-Tractor. The Anderson X-Tractor is also produced by Kern. So we've just got the wrong manufacturer's label on our piece of equipment. The bale trailer, again, is Canadian, North American, but there are companies in the UK that produce that type of equipment, and so it's got the wrong manufacturer's badge on it, no big deal. And we did actually manage to empty that, which is good. So, that, fold that in, and we will engage cruise control, and actually we'll back up because it looks like we managed to disengage the GPS while we were stationary. Now with tractors are slightly easier. Tractors, you have manufacturers that are international, manufacturers that are European, manufacturers that are American, and so it's not such a big deal. If we were running an American farm, we probably wouldn't have a Valtra or a Zettel or I can't remember, Fiat or something like that. Those would not be tractors we would use in America. Probably, I'm not sure Ford would be a thing either. But it's using equipment for the appropriate for the region. With tractors and harvesters, that's a little bit more easy. With seeders, Great Plains, I don't think are something you can buy in the UK, but you can buy someone who you can buy a brand that produces a seeder with the Great Plains capabilities, so not a big deal, just using the wrong one. Okay, let's grab that and count 3 again from the top. Actually 4, because we're at this end. It's 1, 2, 3, and turn in. And off we go again. Okay, so that's my thoughts on equipment. And obviously, yeah, what you set up in your farm, it's really I still think it's dictated by the size of your fields and the number of, or the amount of field area that you have. As I said, it would be nice to have a bigger harvester, but quite frankly, we're not really rushed. Yeah, it's not like, oh, I'm not going to get all of my July ready crops not done by the end of July. I could have left this field till today or tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow or the day after. It wouldn't matter. We can't plant in July, but I do want the fields that I am going to plant winter crops in prepared by the end of July. So on the first day of August, we can be putting crop in the ground. And that's 1 too wide, so I'm going to back off a little bit and let that get lined up. So we will finish today's stream probably just after midday at the latest, because we do have the kids coming around about lunchtime. So Mrs. Osa's still sleeping, so that's not imminent, but she'll wake up, she'll go fetch them. And that will be a thing I am interested in. So we have barley, January, Feb, December, oats. Actually, that's stupid. Canola, November. So canola is going to be the soonest sale, and I said stupid because what am I talking about? The barley and the oats are going straight down to the flour mill to be turned into flour. So that's going to happen as soon as I get round to it. As soon as I've got a spare tractor and a spare carting trailer, we can run the cereal grains down to the flour mill and get that started. I do want to try and get to 100,000 litres of flour this year. So we might have to do some contracts on cereal crops, and then I will pay to level up the bakery. Now, the bakery produces about 50,000 litres of bread per year, which is about 2 crates most months and 3 crates on the occasional month. If we upgrade the bakery, it will produce 4 crates and occasionally 5 per month, but we are going to need 100,000 litres of flour in order to sustain that production rate. I don't really want, at the moment, we are kind of limited to how much flour we need in the bakery by how much bread it can produce. So since it's 50,000 litres, is it 50,000? 2, 12, 24, 25. No, it's 25 boxes of bread, so it needs 50,000 litres of flour a year. So that's all I've been giving it. I don't need to overload it because we're just going to have flour sitting out there effectively forever. But I don't want to pay to upgrade it so that it's producing 50,000 litres of bread a year, because I don't have enough flour in the mill, in the bakery, to produce that much. So the bakery's going to use up all the flour I give it and then sit idle for 6 months, and that's pointless. You know, I bought a building and it's sitting idle for 6 months. That's kind of silly. Now we have upgraded the dairy, and the reason I did that is because I think I calculated I have about 4 years worth of milk at the dairy. So I can stop putting milk in the dairy, and it will process what's in there for the next 4 years, provide an income. So the dairy is producing lots of stuff. This is good. But really, if I pay to upgrade it, it costs the purchase price to upgrade it to faster production, or double the rate of production. And I think that's worth it, because it's going to use up the milk faster, so that we make more money out of it over the term. Did I explain that well? It's basically, if I have, oh hi, you seem to be stuck. If I'm paying 70,000 to purchase a production, and it's producing 12 months in the year, that's a good, what's the word for it? That's a good investment. If I buy a production and it's producing for 6 months in a year, that's not such a good investment. So for example, the flour mill, probably not such a good investment viewed on its own, because we have it running for about 3 months and then it's done. So we make a ton of money from the crops that we put into it right away, but then it's kind of, it's then sitting there. So I've paid £70,000 for something that's only running for 6 months. But the flour mill produces flour, which is used in the bakery, which is a better rate of return, money-wise. But if the flour mill's producing more flour than the bakery can use, we sell the flour until we get to the point where the flour mill is producing twice as much flour as the bakery can use, in which case it makes sense, again, making up numbers. If I pay 70,000 for the bakery to produce 25 boxes of bread a year, that's all nice and fine. If I pay 140,000 for a bakery that can produce 50 boxes, but I'm only producing enough flour to produce 25, I've wasted £70,000 on the purchase of that production, at least for now. So, because we have the granular control of production versus purchase cost, it makes sense for us to excuse me while I concentrate here. It makes sense for us to only buy as much production as we actually need right now. But the minimum you can buy is 1 times production rate. Okay, so that's that field month. I'm going to jump out here and see what. So this has good pH value, and good pH value is we've harvested this once. Needs rolling, it has weeds growing. So I don't need to lime this field. I'm going to check these 2 as we drive back to the yard. We're going to need to mulch the fields that we're harvesting right now. So again, this field harvested once. And I did remember to roll it last time we planted it, so that's good. And this field has been harvested twice, which is why the pH is at a yellow level and the nitrogen is bad. We need to come out here and spray this field. We could lime it. Maybe I'll do that. It keeps the production up. Oh, that's one thing I did want to check on. Another thing I was watching, grassland care. Okay, the grassland subsoiler resets ploughing state and adds a fertilizer state. Now obviously fertilizer state, if you're using precision farming, your fertilizer state is more a case of your fertilizer state is something. Oh, I can't think of the word. I don't know. The problem with the grassland roller is it's 3 meters, so it's going to take a long time to roll our fields. So as you can see, we've got an extra roll of fermenting conditioned grass. Anyway, did I turn that off? Yes. All right, so I need this. And that should drag the rest of the lime out of that. And we probably won't use that much on the grass field. And this year I'm planning to reduce the amount of times we cut the grass in our field and increase the yield. So you can cut the field every other month, or you can cut the field every 3rd month. And by doing it every 3rd month, you still get about the same yield total over, eventually. Okay, harvester's empty, obviously. So we covered maintenance, we covered thing. Oh, so yeah, our manure truck. We bought that manure truck, and so